is a new documentary shedding light on a debilitating disease. Coming up, we'll meet the people behind the new film, Living with Fibromyalgia. Well, it is difficult to diagnose and even harder to live with. People who have fibromyalgia suffer from chronic pain. Many of you may never have heard of the disease, so there's a little more of an explanation here.
In short, fibromyalgia is a disorder of the central nervous system. It's called a pain amplification syndrome. Basically, this means that the brain does not process stimuli correctly. So painful things feel much more painful than they would to a healthy person. And things that aren't normally painful to a healthy person, like the touch of bed sheets or a cool breeze, can be excruciatingly painful to someone who has fibromyalgia.
This morning, we are getting an up-close look at fibromyalgia with the creator and inspiration of a new documentary. Here to talk about this painful disease is Darlene Akers and her filmmaker daughter, Daneen, who is behind the documentary called Living with Fibromyalgia, A Journey of Hope and Understanding. Welcome to you both.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Let's talk about the disorder because it has been around for a long time, and only recently has it been legitimized. Doctors for many years thought it was all in your head.
True.
Yeah, it's very difficult when people sort of just think, well, you must be a hypochondriac and wanting attention or something like that.
Tell us some of your symptoms. How did it progress and how did it affect your life?
For me, mostly, there was just an overriding pain effect. Every moment of my life seemed to be driven by pain. Even the simple touch of a bed sheet on my legs was painful, and it made sleeping very impossible.
There were times when she couldn't even get up the stairs to go to bed.
And it just came on all of a sudden. You had a normal life, and then you had some sort of a fall or something, right?
Right. It just, you know, I was training for a marathon, and I just fell, and it never got better, and just one thing seemed to complicate and just be on another. And all of a sudden, I went for years undiagnosed, and then one doctor said to me one day, "How long have you had fibromyalgia?" And I looked at him, and I said, "Excuse me, what was that word? I've never heard that before."
So how has it changed your life knowing? Are there treatments? Do you get help out there?
It's hard. I will have to admit there were some doctors that just didn't believe it, and that doesn't help you because you know you're in so much pain. And if you've been a really active person, a really accomplished person like I had been, and then all of a sudden you just can't be that person, it's debilitating, and it really hurts your psyche, and you feel very guilty because you feel very lazy, and you want to know what's wrong with me, and all you know is that every day feels like the flu, and you ache all over, and it's so hard.
But it did help to have a name for it. Once you have a name for something, you can find other people, you can get support, you can research it, and there really is a lot of hope. And that's one reason why we wanted to make this film, is because she had 10 years where really she was in a very dark place, and every day was controlled by pain, but she is doing much better now, and there is hope. And the people profiled in the film are in various different stages. They're very diverse people. We wanted to show the wide range of people that get fibromyalgia, but they have found some semblance of health in a full life, even with this debilitating condition.
I would imagine there is some depression component to all of this, because for feeling ill for such a long time, it's got to affect you psychologically.
Sure. Anybody who deals with a chronic illness, you know, whether that be diabetes or MS or fibromyalgia, it's very debilitating. And for the family, everybody has to learn to adjust.
How did it affect your family?
Well, it was really a relief to find out that there was a name for it. I have to admit, I feel guilty to say that there were times when I'm not sure I fully believed that she wasn't just sort of...
You thought she was faking it?
I thought that occasionally. I think I did, looking back. And so it was very good for us, but it was hard. It's a hard name even to spell. But once we found... you know, could talk and could read books. But one reason why we wanted to make the film is we really envisioned something that the whole family could sit down and watch together, get a baseline of information, start their educational process, and get hope to realize that this is not a death sentence. That doesn't mean there's not going to be great, happy days in the future. Things do have to change, but there is hope.
And this is something that affects mostly women, isn't it?
It seems like the large majority, yes, and maybe perhaps because we always try to do so many things. My orientation now is to step back and not be such a multitasker, but through a change of attitude and change in my own behavior, I now know about meditation and a few things of how I have choices in my life where I didn't feel like I had before.
But men do get fibromyalgia. I think my personal opinion is that it's probably underdiagnosed because for so long we've thought it's a woman's illness, and I think it might get more diagnosed as chronic fatigue or an old sports injury. There's a man I know who has it, and he says, my doctor for years just said, well, you used to play football, you're just sore from those old injuries. And so he went undiagnosed for 7 years until somebody finally said, you know, you have fibromyalgia.
Yes.
We want our viewers to know that there is a free screening. You can learn all about fibromyalgia and some of the people who have experienced it and how they're getting through it. It's a viewing that's happening Thursday, March 22nd at 7 o'clock at the Hillcrest Landmark Theater. Admission is free, and it's called Living with Fibromyalgia, A Journey of Hope and Understanding, and you can find out all about it from this very talented young filmmaker. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Quite an undertaking, and continued good health to you. You look You don't look like you have the flu.
Doesn't she look great?
Yes.
And that is a challenge because it's an invisible illness, and so sometimes people look great, but they might not feel great inside. But she hasn't had a flare in several months, and so we're keeping our
Knock
fingers
on
crossed.
wood, everybody.
That's right.
Thank you so much. And
Thank
good luck.
you. Thank
All
you.
right.